with Tracy in LA. Hi everyone, welcome back to my podcast, Dance Journey. Today we have my very new friend, Cambrey White. I literally had to learn her last name a second ago. Yep. Cambrey, how did we meet?
Well, so we're just getting to know each other, but I started taking class at C-Spot in West LA. Is this West LA or Big City?
It's Culver City, I think.
Culver City, okay.
West Side, yeah.
Yeah, and so I first started taking Christian's class, which is contemporary, and then I started taking Zach and Melissa's class on Tuesdays, and I wasn't very consistent, but as I got more consistent, I started getting to know some people in the class, including you.
Yeah, I know. I feel like we just sort of started getting to know each other, but I don't really remember anything specific, except I think you needed the videos.
Yeah, that's
usually
what it is.
I tend to be on the team that's taking the videos.
And then I just bug her for the videos.
All surprised.
After every class.
Yeah. Oh, no, but I love it because then I get to know you better.
Yeah.
And then started following you on IG. And then, actually, the more things I see on Instagram about you, the more I'm like, wait, what? Like, her life is so interesting. Yeah. And I was like, I think we need to do an interview because I need to learn about your crazy life. So we take a few classes together at C-Spot, contemporary and jazz, on Monday and Tuesday nights. We're taking Christian Espinal's class tonight. So we'll do a little recap of his contemporary class afterwards and talk about what we thought about tonight's combo and how we felt about it. But yeah, I just want to get into your dance journey.
Sure.
So, because I literally don't know a lot about your past in dance. Like, I know you took a little break and came back, and that's kind of all I know. So, how did your dance journey start?
No, this is going to be fun. So I started dancing when I was 6, and it was really chill. It was at a local community center. My mom put me in, and I loved it. And I have a video of me dancing to The Lion King, and I was so into it.
Oh my gosh, what song?
The Can't Wait to Be King.
Oh, of course,
wait.
So fun.
Yeah. But I was really into it. And I just kept doing this community center dance, and kept going with that for a while, and I really liked it, but I never was really part of a studio, so we couldn't really afford it. Studios are really expensive, so my mom just stuck with community, and it was mostly jazz, and the teacher, we formed a dance team, and then we started doing competitions, and I did solos.
Wait, so who did you form a dance team with?
Well, it was with the other girls that were in the community dance.
Okay.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. It was just something kind of the teacher formed.
Okay.
But yeah, so I loved it, and I was like, okay, I want to major in dance. So I danced all throughout high school. After I stopped doing the dance at the community center probably around 13, and I started going to studios.
Okay.
But again, studios are just so expensive.
Yeah.
And so I wasn't taking that many classes, kind of here and there.
Okay.
I just couldn't really find a studio that, one, was affordable enough, and two, that I could fit into my routine and my schedule. So I actually started taking, I was at this one studio, and one of the teachers was like, I think you're going to get the most benefit if you drive out to Hollywood and start taking at the Edge.
Oh, because you were here. You know
I
what?
was here.
I still didn't,
sorry.
I didn't ask you where you grew up. So you grew up in LA.
Yeah. So I grew up in Redondo Beach, where I currently live.
Okay.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. And so,
so you took class at Edge.
but only on Saturdays. So
What year was that?
This was
Do you know?
a long time. I was in high school, so this was 2005.
Okay.
2006.
I was trying to figure out if we were there at the same time, but
Were we or no?
No, because I probably started taking class at Edge around. I only took class here or there, probably 2011 or something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. No. So I honestly just one day a week, my mom would drive me to the Edge, and I would take 2 or 3 classes.
What styles did you take?
I did Denise's Jazz 2 class. Do you know who?
I've heard about her so much. What's her last name again? Do you know?
I don't know how to pronounce it. Leitner,
okay,
Leitner.
I've definitely heard really good things about her. I've never actually taken her, but I need to. I think maybe she teaches
Does she teach
one-offs or something.
Does she? Okay,
I feel I've heard people talk about her, but Yeah. So if I see anything.
She like has no idea who I am. Like it was always so crowded, but I would go. And then actually I was talking to, I'm forgetting her name. We were talking about Malaya's class.
Yeah.
Jessica,
who
right? I
take. Yeah.
Yeah, you take
with
Malaya.
Jess.
With
yeah,
Jess. And I took her class every so often back when I was like 16, but I could never get her choreography. I really struggle with
so fast, and I'm literally like a mess, but I love her warm up so much that I'm just like I just power through.
Yeah, so this was back in high school, and I love dancing, but I've always struggled with picking up choreography.
Okay.
And I've always struggled with confidence in my dancing.
Okay.
It's been a very much a love-hate relationship through my whole life. So that's how I got started. And then I went to college. Well, I wanted to major in dance.
Okay.
And here's the thing that I think looking back, I wish I would have maybe had a different mindset, because so all of these programs I auditioned for UC Irvine, CSU Long Beach, UCLA's World Arts and Culture program. They all have like a very big foundation in ballet. And I never took ballet.
Okay, I was gonna ask you, like, while you were growing up, the classes you were taking with the community and everything, what were the main styles?
It was just like jazz.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's kind of me when I was young too.
Yeah.
I mean, I didn't take a lot of class, but the classes I took were always jazz.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I never took ballet. I had no desire to take ballet, but then when I was getting prepared to do the auditions for college, it's like, no, you really needed that technical background. You really needed to have taken ballet.
Yeah.
So then I started taking ballet at 18.
Okay.
And I didn't get into any of the dance programs, but I did get into UC Irvine based on
where did you take ballet?
I ended up taking at the college that I got admitted to. So I'll explain that in a second. Okay. So I didn't take ballet like at all.
Oh, okay.
And then I got into college based on like my GPA. I went to UC Irvine.
Gotcha. Okay.
And then once you go to UC Irvine, you can like re-audition.
Oh, okay.
And then I made it the second time. Yeah. So I was a dance major originally at UC Irvine.
So you took ballet classes at UC Irvine.
Yes.
Your first year or something. Mm-hmm. And then, okay, that's
so
amazing.
I tested into ballet too, which was awesome. But I really was like technically the worst one in the class. Like I could not get the combos. I couldn't get the bar work because like I'd never taken ballet.
Yeah.
But I remember giving myself such a hard time. And looking back, I'm like, of course I'm not going to know the combos. I never took ballet before.
And people have been taking ballet their whole lives. And I'm the same. Like, I only really started taking ballet like 5 years ago.
Yeah.
And I'm often the worst, or like in that, I shouldn't say worst. It's like not a good way of putting it. But it's just I don't have all the experience. And I get mad at myself. But I'm like, well, wait, I have only been doing this a certain amount of years. But that's amazing that you even made the program after taking ballet for a year or something.
Yeah.
That's pretty good.
Yeah. So it was awesome. But yeah, so I was a dance major. I didn't end up sticking with it. I was a dance major for 2 years. So I did like ballet 2, modern 2, and jazz 2 my freshman year of college. And then my sophomore year, I did ballet 3, jazz 3, modern 3.
Okay.
But I like didn't pass ballet.
Oh, shoot.
I got a C-, and if you get a C-, you have to redo it. And I remember feeling like so sad about it and like just very discouraged. And I was like, I don't know if I want to do this anymore. And I think, again, looking back, I wish I would have recognized that like you can grow as long as you continue practicing, and that I just didn't have the head start that other students had. I didn't get the opportunity to do ballet as a child. And I mean, honestly, even if I got the opportunity, I probably would have declined it because I just hated it so much. And so I ended up dropping the major I think maybe end of sophomore or beginning of junior year of college. I don't remember.
And were you taking enough like regular type of classes to be able to switch your major?
Yeah, so I switched to psychology and social behavior, and then I kept taking class at UC Irvine. I just didn't
have a major in it.
Didn't have a major in it.
Well, less stress. You could just do it for fun.
Yeah.
Did you not take any more ballet, or did you still try to?
No, I stopped taking ballet. And I stopped taking modern too. I just did jazz.
You're like, back to my roots. I really just like jazz.
Yeah. Oh, but you know what? There is something else I completely forgot. So in the midst of being a dance major, I also, I like need to backtrack because I forgot one whole.
Backtrack.
So the other part was, so my senior year of high school, I had this boyfriend, and we both really liked taking hip hop dance together. And I remember, yeah, so we would like take hip hop like at school in high school. And so my freshman year of college, I didn't just audition as a dance major. So UC Irvine has like, they're really well known for their hip hop crews. So like, have you heard of Cabo Modern?
I have not.
Okay.
But okay.
Cabo Modern is like a really well known dance crew. I think they were on like America's Best Dance Crew or something.
Okay.
And they started out at UC Irvine. So there's all these different dance crews. And so I auditioned for one called MCIA, which was just like a performance crew. It wasn't like a competition crew. And somehow I got in. I had only been doing hip hop like my senior year of high school. And I think I just had like a lot of confidence issues because I did it for a year and I just like felt like not good enough, so I also quit that.
But did you liked it, but you just didn't feel good enough, or you didn't like it?
I liked it, but I think there was part of me that didn't like it because I felt like I wasn't good enough at dancing. Yeah.
But your boyfriend didn't go to college with you.
No, he didn't. And the reason I bring him up is because I remember I quit that and then I quit my dance major and I was really sad about it, and I just don't think I really took the time to really process and figure out if that was what I was meant to do. I just kind of was like, I'm done, quit.
Yeah.
Where he was like my ex-boyfriend after high school, but he continued to practice hip hop and he got really good. And I think that was like my first instance of like recognizing, wow, like, you know, if you don't have a lot of experience in something, you can practice and get better, which is like so obvious, but I like for some reason I
relate.
I
didn't realize that either. When I was first doing dance, every once in a while, I just kind of did it because I liked the class.
Yeah.
But then once I started doing it kind of a little bit more by accident, I like was like, oh wait, I can get better.
I didn't
like it kind of didn't. It's not like I didn't know it at all, but it didn't really click that you can really improve.
You could legitimately,
And I even think maybe I learned that with my old job because I had never had like a corporate job, but I really needed the money. And when I feel like God just like helped me get this job that I wasn't totally qualified for in the beginning. But I remember telling myself, I know I don't know how to do this job at all, but how could I not learn it if I'm doing it 8 hours a day? Like, I must get better at it. I must, you know? And so I think even having that job taught me, like, oh, if you keep doing something, like, you can't go down. Like, you can only get better. You know, you might have off days or something, but if you're doing it that much, you're going to get better, whatever pace that is. And then I sort of learned that in dance, too. And I think, it's, like, funny how you don't realize it. And then you're like, wait. So then were you, like, inspired?
Well, you know, it's so interesting because I think like insightfully you can recognize something in someone else, but there's like this like barrier that you have to overcome yourself. And I don't think I overcame that barrier till after I had my son. So that's like way later.
Oh,
Yeah. So like it was like my first instance of seeing someone be able to like practice and grow, and then later there's like terminology that I realized what that was, and it's like, oh, you had a growth mindset this whole time, and I was very fixed in my mindset when it came to like my improvement in dance. So so I dropped it and I kind of quit. My first time quitting. So
and then how long did you kind of stop doing dance?
So I didn't really do it much junior and senior year. Like I took a class here and I took jazz, but like I wasn't fully committed like I was. Maybe like 4 years. So my junior, senior year. Well, okay, I didn't totally quit. Like I would do things for fun. Like, so I was in a sorority in college and we did something called Songfest, which is like, it was basically a 12-minute musical you'd put together with another fraternity.
Okay.
And it was really fun.
A 12-minute musical?
Yeah, 12 minutes.
Like it has a whole story? Like an original musical?
No, it wasn't original. So my senior year, we did Thoroughly Modern Millie, but then we had to like condense it into 12 minutes.
Whoa, that sounds fun.
It was really fun. And so I guess I didn't quit. I was still doing things. It was more for fun. It wasn't like, oh, I'm going to be a dance major. I'm going to be a dancer. It was more like, I'm going to do this for fun.
Yeah.
And so I like did the choreography for that. And
wow.
Yeah. And you compete against like different fraternities and sororities. And
had you ever made choreography before that?
I'm sure I have. I can't remember. That was like my first memory of like really doing choreography.
And did you feel like oh yeah, I could do this?
Yeah.
Or were you like,
I loved
how
it.
am I going to do this?
No, I was like, yeah, I could do this. I loved it.
Because it seems
Yeah.
like you struggled with confidence, but when it came to making
Yeah.
choreography, you were like, I got this.
I think that's true. Yeah. I think for my own skill, I've always struggled, but for choreography, I've always just really enjoyed it, and it's come more
nice.
naturally to
That's
me
so
than
cool,
actually.
because that's not natural for a lot of people.
Is it not?
There's
Oh.
very good dancers who really don't like to make up choreography or want to.
Oh.
So
Well, cool.
I think that's a special skill that you have. So that's
Thanks.
amazing.
Yeah. Yeah. So I did that, and I think that was really inspiring because we ended up winning the whole like competition.
Wow.
Yeah. And I was like, oh,
You're like,
maybe I'm good at this.
Yeah. Wow. I was gonna say, I think you are pretty good at this.
Thank you. Yeah. So,
And that was, sorry, what year was that?
that was my senior year. So it's 2011.
Okay.
Yeah. Was my senior year of college.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then what happened? What did your dance journey look like after you graduated college?
Yeah. So then I needed a job, and I didn't really know like what I was going to do. I think it was like, so I graduated in 2011, and the recession started in 2008. And so it was really hard to find a job coming out of college. So I ended up finding a job as an executive assistant at a ballroom studio.
Oh.
Yeah. And so what I did was I just was like kind of the receptionist, and I would help schedule people. And then I would also kind of be the person that would put the owner's vision. So the owner was a ballroom dancer.
Okay.
And he always had these great visions. And so I kind of like helped bring them to life along with like
Nice.
other employees. And so, yeah, so that was really cool. Because,
What was like one of his visions?
well, so he loved to have these parties where basically people would do ballroom and Latin dance.
Yeah.
But I think being there was really cool because I got exposed to some very different types of dance I had never been exposed to before, like American waltz and the cha-cha and American rhythm. And I was really close with all the dancers who would do the one-on-one privates, the ballroom dancing privates.
Yeah.
And they like helped me just like learn a new style.
So
that was really
you
fun.
would get to actually learn the dances.
Yeah, so I ended up, they offered me like as a trade, they're like, oh, well, if you're working here, we'll give you like a free private lesson once a week.
Oh, cool.
And they're not cheap. So like to
Yeah.
get that was really, like, it was such
That's
a benefit.
amazing. Yeah.
Yeah, and it was just fun to learn like a different style. So that's what I did next.
Did you like it more than jazz, less than jazz?
Less. I
Same,
still
okay.
love jazz and musical theater and contemporary are probably
Okay.
my favorites. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So, but I just like learning all the different styles and like what they
it's
have
good
to offer
know
and stuff.
them.
Yeah.
And sometimes like they apply to other. I know sometimes Melissa does like kind of more Latin-y jazz, and I'm like, I
She
don't know how to
does.
move like that. I actually learn it from her because I'm like, I literally think I haven't learned it anywhere. So
Yeah.
the fact that you even have a little bit of that.
Yeah. And that is, yeah, Melissa's class, when she does that Latin jazz, it takes me back to South Coast Dance Sport because
that's
that's
cool.
what I learned from one of my friends. So
That's so cool.
Yeah.
What was it called?
it's called, the ballroom studio
Yeah.
was called South Coast Dance Sport. It doesn't
Okay.
exist any
Oh,
longer,
okay.
unfortunately. But
Aw.
yeah.
But that was in LA somewhere.
That was in Orange County, actually.
nice.
Yeah, so Laguna Hills.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so you did that for
Yeah.
how long did you do that?
Just a year.
Okay.
Year after college. And then I was trying to figure out, like, well, this is probably not, like I've always been really future-oriented, future-driven. And I was like, I don't know if, like, this is going to be something that I will be able to do long term. Like, there's not really room for growth. Like, what do I do? And so then I was trying to figure out what I wanted to do. And so I think I was like, maybe I want to be a school counselor. Like, I like working with kids, but I don't know. And then eventually I decided to move home, which was back to Redondo Beach and live at home for a little bit to figure out like what I wanted to do. And so I ended up getting a job as, and honestly, I don't know how I got this job. I didn't have that much experience, but I got a job at it's called Performing Arts Workshops.
Okay.
And it's a musical theater job for kids, like ages 6 to 14.
Were you like looking for dance type of jobs, or do they just keep coming to you?
I really I don't remember. I do remember thinking like, wow, this must be like a God thing because it was just like so random and so quick how it happened.
Wow.
And so yeah, and so they were hiring acting teachers, singing, and dancing instructors. So I got hired as a dance choreographer, dance instructor
cool.
for ages 6 to 14. So I did that.
I love that you didn't even do that as your major, but you still ended up doing it.
Yeah. Yeah. So
and you did that for your main job?
So they did summer camp. So over the summer camp would be like a full-time job. And then during like the rest of the school year, it was just like an after-school program. So then I needed to find another job to supplement that. And I found a job working at a church, St. Andrew's Presbyterian, where I actually met my husband. So yeah, so that was 2013.
Okay.
Yeah. So.
And what was your job at the church?
Just like admin assistant.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So really, I was just trying to find a job to supplement my performing arts workshop stuff because I really liked it. I really liked doing choreography.
Yeah. So you were teaching and choreographing dance for the kids. And how many years did you have that job?
So I did that for 5 years.
Okay.
And while I was doing that, I was working at the church. And the church I only worked there for 2 years. But then I also started a master's program in school counseling.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. And at that time, so I had taken, I guess there was never really a break from dance. It was more like exposure to different types of dances and stuff. But then around kind of from 2011 to 2013, 2014, I started being really interested in musical theater. Okay. So kind of throughout that whole process, I was auditioning for community theater. Okay. Yeah, which also encompasses dance. So yeah.
And you were so far just in Southern California this whole time.
Yeah.
Because I know your life.
At some point I go to Hawaii, but we're not there yet.
Okay.
Sorry.
So then you got married. You're still kind of doing dance stuff. But you obviously, it's interesting that you went back to school for counseling because you hadn't really done counseling yet.
So I had my degree in psychology and social behavior. That's what I switched to from dance. And then I honestly, my dream would have been dancing on Broadway. Okay. But I don't think I had the confidence, or I don't think I was risk adverse. I don't think I was able to take that risk. And so I always was like, well, school counseling will be a plan B. Yeah. But then it kind of ended up becoming my plan A. I see. So in my brain, it was I work with kids. I find mental health really interesting, and I feel like I could be making a difference. So school counseling sounds like a really good fit for me. So that's why I ended up going that direction. Okay. Yeah.
And so then you were in school for that. You were still sort of auditioning for stuff?
I was still so I did a couple shows at that. So I did Thoroughly Modern Millie again. Around that time I did
the actual long version, not the 12-minute version.
And I did Wizard of Oz.
Who were you in that?
I was Gloria. She was one of the women that just
What's the main okay, I'm I feel like I've seen this, but I can't remember. What's one of the main songs from it?
Forget About the Boy.
Yes.
Yeah. It's a tap one. It's a tap.
Love that song. I totally forgot about that song until you brought it up. Yeah. And I wasn't even thinking it was going to be the song. And that is the song for some reason. I can blast that in my room and dance to that so easily because it is so fun.
It's so fun.
But I was never in that show, and I think I saw a high school production of it a long time ago. But I think that's it. But that's so fun that you were in that.
Yeah, it was really fun. It's a big dance show.
Yeah.
So,
and wait, did you tap dance too?
Not well. I've never really taken tap. I've learned tap for shows. Okay. So I just know very basic.
That's pretty good to learn it for a show.
Well, I mean, they helped, they taught, they
But that's good.
But
learn it to perform it. And then you said you were in Wizard of Oz.
I was in Wizard of Oz.
And what were you in that?
Just ensemble.
Okay.
Yeah.
Nice. But there was dancing and stuff.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah.
Okay. It's so cool that you were able to do that around. You kind of had a lot going on.
There's a lot going on. So I wasn't sleeping a lot.
I was going to say, were you ever sleeping?
No, I was not sleeping. Actually, yeah, I guess I can share this. Again, it has nothing to do with dance.
No, go for it.
But I do remember, I was definitely in the honeymoon phase with my now husband, and I was in school for school counseling, and then I was after school I would go to the Wizard of Oz rehearsal, and I remember at some point I was at a Wizard of Oz rehearsal, and they were really strict. They're oh, if you miss rehearsal, you can't be in this number.
Oh wow.
And I remember trying really hard to not vomit during a rehearsal and I started vomiting and I couldn't
Wait, why?
stop.
Because you were sick?
I think I was sick. I think I
shoot.
had food poisoning or something.
Gosh.
I don't know.
But you're like, I have to go or they're going to cut me.
Yeah, so I was like, I have to stay. But then I like couldn't stay because I kept vomiting.
Goodness.
So I finally called. He had been my boyfriend for like a month. And I was like, I think you need to pick me up. Like, take me to urgent care. I am not well. I keep vomiting. And then he was like, and then I was like, don't take me to the hospital. And then he takes me to the hospital.
Oh, no. Did he just not realize you said that? Or he thought you needed to go to the hospital?
No, he was like, I feel like if someone says, don't take you to the hospital and you're like vomiting and you can't walk, like you need to go to the hospital. And I was like, okay.
That's a good point. Okay.
I'm going to the hospital. And it ended up being, they said it was gastroenteritis. It was like possibly caused by food poisoning. But I think for me, that was a realization that I needed to like sleep more. Like, I know it has nothing to do with sleep, but I was like, I think I need to give my body a rest.
Yeah, you just realized you were going like at a crazy pace.
Yeah, I was really young.
Yeah.
I was 23 at the time. I was just like, oh, I can do, like, I don't need sleep. Yeah.
So what did you do after that? Did you make a change?
I did. I think, well, the show was about to start and then it was only like one weekend and then I stopped doing shows for a little bit.
Okay.
And yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then, so was that the first time you had a dance break or were you still teaching dance?
So yeah, no, then I think there's a break. Sorry, I'm just like
trying to figure out, I'm like, did she ever have a break?
I did have a break, yeah. So around like 2015. So my last show was in my last show was 2013, 2014. I did one other show, it was called Phantom. And then from there, I took a break. I did my master's program, stopped doing shows for a little bit. And so 2015, 2016, 2017, I didn't do any shows, didn't take any dance classes, was just focusing on like school and we were getting married.
Yeah.
So,
did you sense the loss of it or were you just so busy with these other things it was not that big of a deal?
That's a really good question. I think every time I would stop dancing, I would feel like there was something missing in my life. But I think I was also so busy that I would like just push that feeling away.
Okay.
I would just be like, oh, it's fine. Like, I'll go back to this later. Like, we're good. But I do think that when I'm not dancing or doing some sort of theater, it definitely feels like there's this like void.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. So then did you get married?
We got married.
While you were still on that little dance break?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
December of 2016. Okay. We got married. And then I found like a substitute school counseling job. And then after that, I was looking for a full-time school counseling job. And, you know, we had just gotten married and we were like, well, like, I had never lived outside of California. My husband lived in Florida at one point. And he was like, well, like, you could apply out of state if you want. I was like, okay, I'll apply in Hawaii. So I ended up getting...
So it's like totally random. You were just like, Hawaii sounds fun.
Yeah. So I applied for a school counseling job in Hawaii and we ended up deciding like, okay, we're going to go.
Wait, did he have a job that was here?
No, he has a job here. And that company did not want him to leave. And he was like, well, I'm leaving. And if you don't want me to leave, you can let me work remote. And they let him work remote.
I love that he encouraged you to apply anywhere, even though he had a job here. Yeah. He sounds like he is less risk averse than you are. Like
well, I think it's just, he's been at his company. So he's 4 years older than me. So he's 38 now. But he had been at his company. He's been at his company since he was 21. Mm-hmm.
So he was like,
he was
kind of just
happens. Like, whatever happens. Like that. He's really like laid back, and I'm not. So yeah. So he's like, sure,
to each other.
Yeah.
Wow, crazy. So then they let him work remote.
Yeah.
And you guys just moved to Hawaii.
Yeah.
Wow. How was your family with that? Since like you always lived near them, right?
I mean, they were sad, but supportive. Yeah.
Had you been to Hawaii before?
Oahu, but we moved to, it's called the Big Island of Hawaii.
Okay, yeah.
So we moved to Kona, and I had never been to Kona. So we like accepted it, and then we just moved.
I can't believe you did that. That's
I know,
hilarious.
for someone who's risk averse.
Did you love it? Was it so worth it? Or were you like, what did I just do?
It was probably the most meaningful experience of my life. So I went there, and I was a high school counselor for 2 years, and so this is the crazy part. So I get there and I remember, so we like went to this Airbnb to kind of check everything out and try to find a place to live. And so we rented this Airbnb, and I remember like talking to the owners of this Airbnb, and I don't know how musical theater and dance came up, but somehow this came up in our Airbnb conversation.
Okay.
And he's like, well, you should check out the Aloha Theater. They're doing a show. It's a really great place. Like, if you like theater, you should get involved when you move here. And I was like, okay, whatever. Like, I haven't thought about this for 3 years.
Yeah.
And so then we move, like find a place to live. So this is 2017. And the first year I did not get involved. I was just focusing on my new job.
Yeah.
It's a big culture shock.
And living somewhere new.
Yeah. Like the island of Hawaii is like, it's just a very different culture than Los Angeles.
What would you say is like one of the big differences?
So I think the big difference is like here on the mainland, it's a lot of like, you're like hustling for your job and you're really independent and it's all about you. And in Hawaii, it's more about family and it's more of like a collectivistic society where like your family comes first and it's, and yeah. And I really like that.
Yeah.
And that's just not something I've ever experienced living in Los Angeles. Yeah. And so I really enjoyed that, part of Hawaii. But yeah, so my first year, I did not get involved in the Aloha Theater. And then, like, my second year, they had an audition notice up for Adam's Family.
Okay.
Yeah, so.
This is what I just saw you
just
post
saw me
about.
post
I was
about
like,
this.
oh my gosh, wait, is that Cambrey?
That was
the
me.
picture looks so cool of her, like, being in. Oh, sorry, not to give it away.
No, that's okay.
Okay, so talk about that, that experience.
So I remember, like, kind of as I've said earlier, I've always just really struggled with my confidence. I've always had a fixed mindset, and that isn't just dance. That's also like singing and theater. And I've just never been confident in that part of my life, even though it's like my favorite thing in the world.
Yeah.
And so I remember thinking, I'm just going to audition. Like, I'm going to like go for ensemble, because I usually go for ensemble because that's where all the dancing is. And like, this will just be a good experience. If I don't get it, not a big deal. And so I remember like going in and auditioning and getting a call back. And I was like, oh, that's weird. I like don't usually get callbacks. I usually like just go straight to ensemble.
Yeah.
And they called me back for Wednesday.
Wow.
And then I remember they like had 5 girls auditioning, and then they ended up telling me I got the role. And I was like, are you kidding? Like, you're kidding, right? Because Wednesday has 3 solos. And at the time, I was not a confident singer. And I was like, I don't know how I'm going to do this.
Oh my gosh.
But it was such a good opportunity. And like, I feel like I rose to the occasion. And I think previously, I don't think I would have thought I could do that.
Yeah.
So that was really cool.
Well, you just like moved to Hawaii and got married.
Yeah.
I'm sure your confidence was actually growing.
You're probably right.
To do new things because you just did a bunch of new things.
That's
maybe.
true.
That's so crazy. And then the rehearsals and everything were like nights and weekends, so you could do it on your job. Okay.
Yeah, so it was like I would work, and then after work I would go home real quick, see Brian, and then go to rehearsal from 7 to 10. And the Aloha Theater was really close to work. Like, it was like a 5-minute drive.
Okay.
And I just felt so lucky because I was like, how did this happen?
That's so cool.
We moved to this island. I knew nothing about it. Had no idea there was theater there. Wasn't planning on doing theater anymore, really, or dance. Like, it was kind of like, whatever. And it's just right there for me. And it was just so cool. And I met a lot of people. Yeah. It was really
Brian
amazing.
like, where are you? You're never here.
He was very supportive.
You're like at work all day, then you're like, I have rehearsals.
I know. He was very supportive. And like, he got involved too. Like, they would have
really?
set days. And so
cool.
he would like do the set days and stuff. He loved it. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Does he do any sort of like artistic thing? Does he like really enjoy watching you?
I think so. Yeah. I think he knows it makes me really happy. So yeah, he's so not very creative.
Oh my gosh.
He took a salsa dancing class for me once, and he was like, I'm not very good. But he tried. So that's
nice. That's what counts.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So then so after that, did you do like more shows there or no?
Yeah, so I did Adam's Family, and I got to know a lot of the people there, and that was what was so cool, and something that I think, for my experience at least, was missing in Los Angeles is I feel like being like, it was such a good experience in LA, but I just feel like in Hawaii, I really bonded with the people that were on the cast with me, and I don't know what it was. Maybe it was just like people come to Los Angeles to be professionals, so I think there's like this big like competitive aspect. But people go to Hawaii to relax, and so it's like people were coming to Hawaii from like New York, and like people that were equity in New York, and like they were coming and sharing their skills in Kona, and I got to like benefit from that and learn from their skills.
That's so cool.
And everyone was just so nice, and I just felt like it definitely felt like a family at the Aloha Theater, and it was just like very life-giving. And then this girl who she's like born and raised in Kona, and then she like went to New York and did the whole New York thing, and then she like moved back right around the time I had moved there. We were in Adam's family together, and she like realized I was a dancer, and she's like, you should choreograph our next show. And I was like, I've never choreographed anything this big before. There's no like, are you serious?
But that's your biggest skill. So I'm pretty sure that's your biggest skill.
Apparently. And she goes, yeah, the next show's Mamma Mia. And Mamma Mia is like a huge dance musical.
Wow.
And she's like, just like, how about we'll get a couple of the dancers girls together, and like you can do a little audition for Jerry, who was the director at the time, and then if he likes it, like you should choreograph it.
Wow.
I was like,
so
okay.
Audition, like come up with choreography, put it on some dancers, and audition that.
Yeah.
Okay.
So that's what we did, and they were like, yeah, you should do it. And I was like, what?
You're like, I'm not even auditioning for shows anymore. I'm stepping up to be the choreographer. Now, were you trying to also be in that show, or were you just trying to be the choreographer?
I was okay just doing choreography.
Okay.
I felt like so lucky to have a lead role in Adam's Family. That was never something I'd ever thought I would get to experience, but I was like, let's try choreography. And it's a main stage production, and these productions at the Aloha Theater, it's like live orchestra. So it was so unique and cool. And definitely like the Adam's Family and Mamma Mia were definitely like my two favorite experiences when it came to like dance and theater.
That is so...
It was so cool.
Your story is so cool. I'm so excited to hear it.
Yeah.
Okay, so then after you did that, so that was like a big success, I imagine. And then what was after that?
So
because I know you weren't in Hawaii you at some point came back here.
We did come
here you
back,
are. So
here I am. Yeah, we weren't there that long. We were there for 3.5 years. So yeah, the first 2 years I did the shows, and then I think that like that experience made me want to like move back to LA and pursue like theater and dance for real, like actually like take that risk and just do it and just try. And so that was kind of my plan. I was like, okay, like I want to start a family, and then I want to like pursue musical theater and dance and actually commit to it, rather than like my whole life I've done it pretty consistently, but I've been kind of like wishy-washy and I would quit and go back. And so that was kind of what I wanted to do.
Wait, I love how you're like, I want to start a family and pursue
I don't know.
Music and dance professionally. That's like
impossible.
That's kind of rare
I know.
that's somebody's like mindset. Like, I'm going to do both of these
I'm going to do both, yeah.
But I
also don't know if it was very realistic.
I'm just like, wow, that's amazing. Sounds good.
Yeah.
So then, is that why you guys moved back?
Yeah. So to go back to Hawaii, my final year in Hawaii, I really like kind of wanted to focus on theater and dance, and school counseling was like really meaningful and amazing. It's also a very challenging position, but very meaningful. And I'm really glad that I did it. And I might want to do it again someday. I'm still trying to figure that out. But I really loved doing theater and dance. So then I like talked to the principal at the school, and I was like, hey, do you guys need more elective classes? Would you be open to me doing like a part-time teacher position? And these are things you can't really do in LA. In Hawaii, it's like they're way more open to like unique ideas there. And so they were like, yeah, we really like you. Sure. So I taught hip hop and hip hop dance, and because that was kind of like what the kids wanted. Okay. I don't think the kids were as interested in jazz.
Did you make it kind of jazzy?
I did, yeah. Yeah.
That's what I would do if I was teaching
it was like jazz funk, really. And then I taught like a theater class, and it was just part-time. Okay. And it gave me the opportunity to like, you know, see more of the island, because before that I was working a lot. Okay. And then work part-time. Okay. And yeah, so that was really fun.
Wow, that's so cool.
Yeah.
So then what did bring you back to LA? Was it just because you wanted to pursue professionally?
It was, but then the pandemic happened.
Oh, wait. So the year you moved back was the when the pandemic happened?
So the pandemic happened when I was teaching dance and theater in Hawaii.
Okay.
Yeah.
which was rough, I'm sure.
Yeah.
Or
so
didn't
like
work.
it didn't work.
Okay.
We tried. Like I tried. I would do like choreography and like put it up on our like Google Classroom, and I would say like 3 kids participated. You know, it is what it is. A lot was happening. But yeah, the pandemic was really hard. And then I got pregnant during the pandemic.
Oh.
Yeah, and originally the plan was to wait till we got back to California, but I did get pregnant in Hawaii. Yeah, and then I think because I was already pregnant, I wasn't really thinking about theater at this point because everything was shut down.
Yeah.
I was just like, I want to move back and have my baby in LA or in Redondo.
Like near your family.
Like near family, yeah. So we moved back in the middle of the pandemic, and I was one of those people that was like really scared of the pandemic. Like on the way back from like on the plane, I was like wearing a mask and then a face shield. I was just really worried. I was nervous.
Super scared too.
I was pregnant,
one of those,
you know? Yeah.
And then that gives you an extra thing to be worried about.
Exactly. Yeah. And so that was really scary for me, but we had to move back at that point. And yeah, and then, you know, I was just focusing on having Roland and being a new mom for a while. And yeah, so I definitely took a break just because the pandemic and having a baby. And then, yeah, so this is a whole nother story for another time, but I can shorten it. But yeah, so my son got a diagnosis at 6 months called cystic fibrosis, which is a pretty devastating diagnosis. Basically,
wait, he was how old when he got the diagnosis?
6 months.
Oh, okay.
And normally you get that diagnosis at birth. So normally it's caught on the newborn screen that moms or that babies get when they're first born, but his was missed, and that's like a really rare thing that happened. But yeah, that was really hard. So basically cystic fibrosis is when you have like mucus. So like you and I, we have like really thin and runny mucus in our bodies, but people with CF have really thick and sticky mucus. Okay. So the thick and sticky mucus isn't necessarily like the problem. The problem is it causes like lung infections, and it can cause like issues with your pancreas and your liver, and everyone's symptoms are different with CF, and like it varies, but the life expectancy for CF used to be like in the 30s. But it's improved. It's now in the 50s, which is great, but there's still no cure. So yeah, it's a devastating diagnosis. So that was like my focus for a while, was like processing that. So I just kind of stopped.
You had your baby in California? Okay.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Wow. Oh my gosh, what a change of events. Okay.
Yeah.
I do want to finish like your story.
Yeah, sorry, I talk so much.
Oh no, you don't at all. I just started our whole podcast a little late. So we have to go to class.
Okay.
But we are going to talk after the class a little bit about the class, but also I want to finish your story if you have time.
Yeah, that's
now
fine.
I think we're all like on the edge of our seat about like what is happening.
Yeah.
So we'll finish Cambrey's story. We'll talk about the class we took. And so, yeah, we'll see you in a few minutes.
Okay.
Okay, hi everyone. We are back with my guest, Cambrey, my dancer friend. We're going to get back to Cambrey's story because we were right in the middle of that, and I definitely want to hear it. But first, really quick, we're going to talk about Christian's contemporary class that we just took. How did we feel about it? I haven't watched the video yet. So.
Yeah, that's right. We haven't. I felt good, actually. So this one had a lot of floor work.
It did.
And I'm not very good at floor work. And so that's always been a struggle. So that was a little challenging. But the other part, actually, I felt really good about it. Yeah, this one was more like lyrical almost than his normal stuff. And which I liked. It was a nice change.
Yeah.
So I actually really enjoyed it. Yeah.
It was kind of more lyrical, and I wouldn't say easier, but some parts of it were easier in the sense that he didn't have as many like of those quick movements. It was more like flowy.
Yeah. And I think he really like focuses on musicality, which I love. Yeah. But sometimes it's like a huge mental it's like mental gymnastics. Yeah. And I felt like this actually didn't. It had musicality, but maybe it wasn't as quick. Yeah. And so it was kind of nice because then I was able to just enjoy dancing. Minus the floor part. That was hard for me. But
the floor.
Other than that,
I always like when he puts in floor work. I like when any teacher does floor work. But this time, He did this thing, which is very hard for me, when teachers put a lot of similar movements that are a little bit different near each other. Then my brain is like, wait, what? Because it was like, now you're back up and your legs are straight. Now you're back up and your legs are bent. Now your feet, I was like, wait, it was like up and down off the floor. You were on the floor, you were laying on the floor, then you were sitting on the floor, then you were laying on the floor, then you were sitting on the floor. But sometimes your legs were out and sometimes they were bent. And sometimes your feet were flexed and sometimes they were pointed. Yeah. And I was like, which is which?
Yeah, I'm glad you asked the question because I benefited from that.
I was literally like, do we have time for you to like go over the floor part without the music one more time real fast? Christian's like, okay.
Yeah, but I love his class. I love his musicality, and there's sometimes like almost hip hop moves a little bit in his
kind of like this part. Or
like, not in this particular one, but in past classes, I feel like there is, which is fun. So
he kind of just does his own thing. Yeah, I really like it. So that was a lot of fun. I felt by the last one, I felt like pretty good. That one turn where it was like was it like a fouette move with one leg, but then you're turning. I mean, I wobbled that the whole time, but that's okay. We'll just give myself grace. But yeah, it was a good class. Okay, so let's get back to your story. Okay. So I think that what we last talked about was you were talking about your son, Roland, right? Yeah. And how he was diagnosed with cystic fibrosis, and you were kind of explaining what that was. So like how did that change what did your life start to look like after that?
Yeah, I think it, as a new mom, your life is going to change anyway. And then on top of being a new mom, we were in the middle of a pandemic, so that was very unprecedented. And so I think even before the cystic fibrosis diagnosis, those two things just obviously completely changed a lot of our lives for the pandemic. And then just being a mom, it's no longer about yourself. And I'm an only child. And so it really was about myself at the time I was 31. So 31 years of my life to go to taking care of a child who is now your like number one priority. And, we were having some weight gain issues, and that was really challenging. And I think a lot of the kind of what I needed to process was the fact that we didn't get a diagnosis at birth, like 90% of babies with CF, that we had this misdiagnosis that we got at 6 months after there was some persistence with the doctors. So basically we were referred to like a pediatric gastroenterologist, and we did some interventions to help him gain weight back. And ultimately we ended up with something called a sweat test, which is like the gold standard for cystic fibrosis, and got a positive sweat and ultimately got the diagnosis. So I think just like kind of the feeling of like my son being missed by like a public health system was very unnerving and upsetting for me. And so just processing that was one thing I had to process. And then the other thing is just like our daily lives change. So, cystic fibrosis, like you can live a normal life. Like Roland is going to go to school like everyone else. He's going to have normal activities like everyone else. It's just that he has some extra health issues. And in order to like prevent those health issues from getting worse, we do these twice a day daily treatments. So we do nebulizer treatments in the morning. So he'll do like albuterol, like same as people with asthma, but it's just we do it twice a day every day for the rest of his life, or he'll be doing that hopefully for the rest of his life. Well, not hopefully, but hopefully he'll be able to do it and comply. And then on top of that, he gets additional medications for some GI issues he's having. He's not having them anymore. But yeah, so I would say the first year and a half to 2 years was really challenging. We had one hospitalization. We had him go through, he had to go under twice, once for it's called an endoscopy and a bronchoscopy, and just like a lot. There's just a lot. How old is he now? He's almost 3. Okay. So this was all in the first year of his life. Wow. Yeah. And it was really hard. And I think I don't know, that part of my life, like the pandemic and being a mom and like all of the the hospitalization and the surgery, it wasn't really a surgery. It was more like just they had to look in his lungs, but
they have to put
they have to put him out at a young age. That was just all it was all a blur, because I was just let's just get through this. Many things at once. Yeah, I was not dancing at that time. And I think also, the pandemic was going on. We get this diagnosis, which is he's not immunocompromised or anything, but he does have additional health issues. So at the time, COVID was really scary for us because I didn't know how like COVID could impact him. So I was like locking down. I wasn't going to go to a dance class because, you know, you're indoors and you're active. And so I just wasn't ready. So this was like 2021. But yeah, I mean, we got through it, and there's this new medication. It's called Trikafta, and they say it's like the miracle drug for people living with cystic fibrosis, and it really is. It became FDA approved like 5 years ago, and it's like changed lives. It's making people live longer.
Wow.
People are staying out of the hospital longer. Like, it really is a miracle drug, and we were able to get access to that at the age of 2, which is like the youngest that anyone's ever had access to that. They just made it approved. The FDA approved it for 2 years old, like a couple months before Roland turned 2.
Wow.
So yeah, and
That's
that was
crazy.
that was a little bit of a battle getting that too, but that has like changed like our lives too. The other thing I forgot to mention is that he used to like vomit all the time at night, and it was just like a symptom of his CF.
Yeah.
And with Trikafta he stopped.
Wow.
Like, he is doing so well health-wise. Like,
that's amazing.
It's like really amazing.
Wow.
Yeah.
What are the odds that like that was approved like right before he needed it?
I know.
That's amazing.
It's wild. Yeah. Well, and then on top of that, like, he has 2 rare mutations. So he actually this is all kind of complicated, but basically the FDA approves it for like the most common mutations, and he had rare mutations that were not FDA approved, but we're just like really lucky and like fortunate that we have a great team of doctors for him that wrote an appeal letter to the insurance company who then like ultimately approved it for us. Like, we are so lucky. This is not like this. Yeah, it's amazing. So anyway, so things are good now. All that's really changed at this point is that we do extra treatments twice a day. So it's like kind of a like burden on time, but if that means he stays healthy, like, I'm fine doing it. So I think, I was not dancing or anything, but I really miss dance and musical theater throughout all of it. And, but I just wasn't ready to go back. Yeah. And then, I can't even remember when it was I went back. I think maybe, do you remember?
I mean, was it only like a handful of months ago, or am I it's like a blur now.
It's a blur. I don't know if it was quite a year ago.
Was it a whole year ago?
Maybe it was a year.
I literally feel like you just started coming here like a few months ago, but time is going by very quickly in my head, so it might have been much longer than that.
It definitely was.
Like 6, 7, 8 months? Or you think a whole year?
It might have been a whole year. Maybe not. Maybe it was like... No, it was a whole year because but I didn't come very much.
Okay.
So
I just hadn't met you probably.
You hadn't met me. There's this one, so it was one like rainy, I want to say October, November or something. And it was pouring so hard. And at the time we lived in, I haven't even talked about how we lived in a travel trailer for a year, but we weren't living in the travel trailer yet. We were at a townhome in San Pedro. And so I was driving the 110 all the way over here to the 10, and it was like pouring rain. I was like, I'm going to get in an accident. I don't usually drive in this type of weather, but I really wanted to take dance. I don't know why I wanted to take dance that day, but I did. And I went to Christian's class, and I just remember... because I hadn't felt like myself for like 2 years. Like the year I was pregnant during the pandemic, and then he was born. I just didn't feel like myself. Like everything changed. I had like this big move from Hawaii back to California. I wasn't working. None of us were like, well, I was not leaving the house really. And if I was like distancing or wearing my mask. And then I had a baby and then he got a diagnosis. I just didn't feel like myself at all. And I remember like going to that class and just like, it was the most therapeutic thing. Wow. And I just was like, oh my gosh, this is what I need. And I like, is obviously something I was missing. Yeah. And then after that, I was kind of sporadically going to class. And then, in 2024, my like New Year's resolution was like, you need to start committing to classes. Just show up. So I've been trying to commit to 2 classes a week. So Christian's class and Zach or Melissa's class, just depending on how quick I can get out of the house.
And one time you went to both of their classes.
I did, yeah.
Zach and Melissa are right after each other on Tuesdays at C-Spot. These are all like jazz and contemporary classes. Some of the teachers switch back and forth. But, wow. So how does it feel like being back in dance? Does it make you want to do like even more, like start choreographing?
It feels really good. I think so. One of the things that I think I've learned, you know, through all of this with my son and having this kind of challenging diagnosis, is so I think in the past I was like really stuck on like how I looked as a dancer. And I think for me at least, that was very, like it was hard to grow as a dancer when I was only focusing on how I looked. But then like, I feel like it was a very natural transition to like, how did dancing make me feel afterwards? And I think now, and obviously not all the time because I do care about how I look, but I just feel like when I'm focused more on like how it makes me feel and how, and just being more aware of like my body and how therapeutic it is and how much I'm processing all the difficult things that I've experienced through dance, it's way more rewarding. It makes me want to do it more. I'm actually remembering choreography better because I'm not so in my head about it. I'm thinking about, like for me, it's like it's almost like I don't need to worry about it anymore. Like that worry was taken away because there was like way more to worry about, I guess, or I don't know. It's hard to explain.
I get that.
I
really get that because we have so many videos these days of class and everything, and sometimes I'll see the video and be like, oh, why do I look like that? But then I have to remind myself, like, wait, how were you feeling when you were doing it? How are you feeling in class? Don't feel, because I'll sometimes be like in a bad mood or feel like I didn't like class. I'm like, wait, did I like class if I hadn't seen the video? Because a lot of times I'm like, no, I was really enjoying the class. I'm just like frustrated that it didn't look the way I wanted it to look, which is fine. And I think it's okay to like want to get it to look a certain way. But I think it's more important to be like, how was I feeling in the class? Is it a class that's helping me, whether it's to grow as a dancer or helping my emotional stability or like helping me have a release or helping me make friends that I like, and like there's so many factors. And since I have been taking a lot of different classes, I'm also thinking about like the joy I have in class. Like, yes, I want to be in classes where teachers push me and everything, but I still, before the pandemic, I was kind of like, I just need to go to classes that push me. I just need to grow. Now it's like, I do still care about that, but I'm also like, but also how does the class make me feel? Do I leave feeling encouraged? Because I can take class with really hard teachers and still leave feeling encouraged, even if I don't get it. It's like, there's like a vibe of the class and kind of like what you're saying with Christian's class. It's like, there's a very nice like vibe that's it's just so like,
nice.
It's like chill. It's like, there's a mood. It does feel like therapeutic and really nice. So I'm glad that that's something that you're thinking about more. And you never know like what opportunities could open up because you care. Sometimes when you care less or you're not like stressed about it, you're actually being more yourself in it, and you never know like what opportunity is gonna arise from that. Because I'm still thinking about the fact that you said you came. I mean, you came back because you were pregnant and there was a pandemic. But I mean, initially you had thought about coming back to pursue it like
and dance
for real in LA or whatever. So I'm still like, I mean, you're still in your dance journey. You're still in the story. So it'll be interesting to see kind of now that like there's a little more stability with Roland. It'll be interesting to see. I know you're still a mom and it's still a lot of work, but I'm really glad that things are at least a little bit smoother than they were. And that you're at least, it seems like you're entering into like a little bit of a different season, which is really nice because
I think so.
I was thinking about the Bible verse that's like a time to mourn, a time to dance. I know that's also a song.
Is that a song too?
Mourn. No. What is that song? A time to time to.
I don't know what
who sings
that is.
Anyways, But the phrase is like a time to mourn, a time to dance.
Yeah.
And I mean, I like to think we could dance even during mourning because, you know, you go to contemporary classes and it's like it's like sad music.
Yeah.
But reality is, if you're going through something that hard, maybe it isn't the season that you're dancing for whatever reason.
Right.
You know, you didn't even have time and you couldn't really think about that stuff. So that was just a little season, but I'm like really glad you're out of the depth of that season,
right?
So you can dance, and you do have stuff to be joyful about, like with that medication that was approved for him, and like things are going up, you know. So I think that's really good. And I know we want to talk about, we never talked about the fact that you lived out of I really want to know about why you lived out of a trailer and you just wanted, okay, can you tell it in a very short, like, did you just want to travel?
Yeah, so I think for us, we bought this townhome in San Pedro and we were like, we thought this was going to maybe be our forever home. And then we just didn't like it as much as we thought we would like it. And we're like, well, we really want to travel and maybe we want to save up for a different house. So let's buy a travel trailer and travel.
Because it allowed you to save some money.
Yeah, it allowed us to save money and travel. And I've always been really into the YouTubers that do van life, but van life's not for us. Van life's not a possibility with a 2-year-old. But
I'm just imagining what you're saying because I literally have not watched anything on YouTube called van life. But people just live out of vans and YouTube about it.
Yeah.
I mean, I imagine what it is.
So there used to be so even before the pandemic, I think there was this huge, I guess it was kind of a niche of people who would build out their vans and make them really fancy. And they would choose to live in a van and travel because it's just the cheapest way to travel.
Yeah.
And then during the pandemic, I think that got really popular just because of the pandemic. Car was the easiest way to travel. And so there's these YouTube video or YouTubers who would do this. I was really into it. Except that there's just no way we could live in a van with a 2-year-old.
Yeah.
So yeah, we bought a travel trailer, and I think the other thing is Roland has all these treatments, and to travel and go on vacation with all of his equipment is such a hassle.
Oh, so you just have it already with you.
Be with you in your home. It was kind of nice.
Wow, that's interesting. Okay.
So yeah, we did some trips. Our biggest trip, we went to Seattle, Washington for a month.
Wow.
Yeah, and it was fun. Yeah, but we wanted to do it for 2 years, but after a year, I mean, Brian was fine, but I was ready to be done.
Wow.
Yeah.
And you just stay at different sites that let you park there?
Well, so that's what some people do. We always would find campsites.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Campsites or RV sites. Yeah.
And did you document all of it and stuff?
That was the plan, but it was too much work.
Wow.
So I documented some of it, yeah. And I did put a couple things on YouTube, but just for fun.
Yeah.
And then I didn't mention that we are really lucky that his parents live in the area, and so we our home base was his parents' backyard, and we would just put the travel trailer there.
Okay.
And that's how we saved money.
Okay, nice.
Yeah. Yeah.
Wow, that's just so exciting. So, and really fast, I know we're kind of wrapping up, but so when did that end?
So that was from March of 2022. March of 2023 to March of 2024. So we just moved into an apartment on March 1st.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
So does it feel good to have an apartment?
Oh, yeah.
I am not the type that would volunteer to live out of a van or a travel trailer, but it does. Yeah. But hearing you describe it does sound exciting. I'm that was probably pretty cool.
It was fun. Yeah.
Okay, cool. Well, I just love your story.
Thank you.
I'm going to be praying for cool opportunities for you because I feel you have a lot of talent in dance and choreography, and I'm really glad that there's at least a little bit of space for that now, and who knows if that space will grow larger. Yeah. So I'm just really excited for you. So yeah, it was just so great to get to know you better because we just kind of recently started chatting more in class. So Cambrey, thank you so much for being on the podcast.
Thank you for having me.
I'm excited to just chat with you more personally without a camera. And yeah, thank you guys for listening. If you have any questions or comments on anything we said, please write that in the comments or Instagram either of us. And yeah, we will see you next time. Bye.
Bye.